Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 13 of our WWF Invasion 2001 save in TEW9. This is the state of WWF for June 2001. If you followed any of the other series we've done here on the channel, you know I like to sort of do a month-by-month sort of wrap-up / recap, look ahead, and all that stuff, just to kind of give people an idea of where we've come in a month's time. So these early ones in these series usually are not that noteworthy because there's just not a lot to really go off of. But we'll at least look at a few different things here so you guys have an idea of what we've accomplished in the first month. And as always, when we look at popularity ratings for superstars and everything, I'm not going to show you the entire roster because there are people there that, you know, for the suspense purposes, I don't necessarily want to show you on the roster just yet. So before we get into anything, SmackDown, as you'll know, we've officially turned the calendar to June 1, 2001. SmackDown, which was, of course, taped on Tuesday, a big show, as you know. Go back and watch that if you haven't already. Almost a 7 in the TV rating, with 5.2 million viewers. So SmackDown, quite interesting, to say the least. So, again, a big closing segment on that show, as you guys know, with our guy Stone Cold Steve Austin and a certain longtime rival of his. So that's worth noting on that. But let's also look at this here. We do have a first refusal here for Chris Nowinski. So we are going to make a decision here on Chris Nowinski. I think we're going to sign this guy. I mean, an absolute genius coming from Harvard. We're going to give Chris a bit of a signing here. If we look at his skills, I mean, I haven't looked at this guy one time in the game, but if we look at it, I mean, you know, look, I mean, there's not a lot here in terms of the actual stuff on this, but I'm going to give this because why not, right? Like, we got money. It doesn't matter. He's 22. I mean, he's got a little sex appeal. He's got a little star quality, all that kind of stuff. Got some charisma. So we're going to give him a sign. We're going to do, let's say, a 1-year deal for old Chris for now, and we'll just see kind of where that goes to. So that was the only pending decision, not really putting a lot into it. It'd be a little different if I didn't have a lot of money to work with and such, but it's the WWF. We're throwing around money like candy here, and so that's where we're at. All right, as always, we look at the size of the company. How have we progressed since we started? And we're still at huge, as you would expect, to reach Titanic. We've got to basically get 77 in every region of at least 5 game areas in total. I mean, we can kind of look at some of these. You know, we're almost there, you know, in terms of just looking at kind of where we are. Mexico, still a long way to go. You know, in the UK and Japan, Europe, I mean, you can just kind of go down the line here, right? I mean, you can kind of have a good idea of where we're at. Haven't really made an imprint on India yet, so that's it there with that. If we look at the progress, yes, we've gone down a little bit. That's not a surprise. This happens usually in every save I do the first month. You kind of take a little bit of a step back, but once you kind of get all your pieces in place and all that, things will start to go back up. So we're not really concerned about any of this. I'm trying to see what else. I mean, the state of the titles. Matt Hardy, still our European champion, certainly has not defended it very much, just because, well, we've kind of been in King of the Ring mode as of right now. But he did beat Bobby Eaton. Don't forget, on Sunday Night Heat, Matt Hardy has a win over Bobby Eaton. The hardcore champion still is Rhino. Quite a few defenses, as we know, for Rhino, as he has been the most active of our title holders thus far, but is coming off of a loss to Chris Jericho in the King of the Ring qualifier. Our Intercontinental champion is Kane. We know that, as Kane has actually been in several matches for the championship. That big match he had with Triple H, I remember back, I'm like, that was a long time ago in terms of when we actually recorded that, but not that long ago in our save. But yeah, I mean, that was a really good match. I forgot how good it was at an 87. So Kane's still Intercontinental champion, coming off that win over the Big Show there. Of course, the King of the Ring, we'll get to that. Kurt Angle, the defending champ, as we know. I have not touched the light heavyweight championship. I can't say that will change anytime soon necessarily. Eventually it might, but as of right now, probably not. So we'll see what we get to on that. The Royal Rumble, of course, Austin is the defending winner. He won it earlier this year, but of course that was before we started the save. Chyna's still our women's champion, and well, she's only had one match to defend that title, but we know things are picking up in the women's division with the arrival of Jazz. Our World Heavyweight Champion, WWF Champion, that is Stone Cold Steve Austin, who has had one defense thus far. That was at Judgment Day against The Undertaker, and our tag team champions, of course, Stone Cold and Kurt Angle. Of course, Angle subbing in for the injured Triple H. And yes, these two kind of, in that scenario where, of course, Triple H and Austin defeated the Dudley Boys in that match on Raw way back when, and then it was Austin and Angle beating Too Cool in that match to retain the titles. So, yep, that's the state of our championships. I'm trying to look if there's any other stuff other than the really popularity ratings that are going to stand out the most, you guys. And like I said, eventually we will get to where we're looking at more of the in-depth stuff, but as you guys know how I do it, I just like to hide some of the roster signings to make it more of a surprise when some of these guys show up and all that. So that's just kind of what I like to do. I'll be honest, I don't even know how long it's been since I've updated some of these storylines, but I do need to do that very soon. But we know we've got some hot storylines and everything, so you can kind of look at some of the ones we've had going. Clearly the Vince and Eric Bischoff thing is the hottest of the group, which shouldn't be a surprise based on what happened on SmackDown. But I have to update those, so I wouldn't really read too much into it. Finances, we're pretty good there in terms of our money and where things sit on that. So, I mean, look, we did a pretty good job, like we said, looking at sort of the revenue and everything. Money just not simply a priority in a save like this. We've got $106 million, so we're doing okay there from a financial standpoint. And I guess the only other thing we can look at is kind of our look ahead on the schedule. It's, King of the Ring coming up on June 24th, so we're 3 weeks away from the King of the Ring. Fully loaded after that, SummerSlam, and so forth. I will tell you, as you can probably guess, the schedule may change a little bit as we maybe get further and further into this invasion. So I would take this with a grain of salt right now. Wouldn't exactly hold me to this current event schedule, because that is going to probably change a little bit as we move forward. All right, let's get into the fun stuff, which to me is the popularity ratings. How have wrestlers progressed since we started? Let's take a look here on that. All right, so we're going to start with our main event, guys. And as always, I have to go into search and I have to filter this a little bit to hide some people. So I did that here, and we managed to make this work, because now we have kind of the big four of our save so far, minus Kurt Angle, who we'll get to shortly. But for Kane, as we said, he won the Intercontinental Championship, and yeah, I think this may actually surprise some people. Like, Kane is getting into the light blue here when it comes to his popularity. He has taken, I want to say, without even looking, my guess is Kane has taken the biggest jump of anyone on our roster. And that's kind of surprising to me, because I'm like, well, I don't know. He's been in a lot of big segments, and he's, as we said, had some pretty big matches. He had the one where he beat Triple H, which I'm sure helped bump that up a bit. But he also beat the Big Show. He had kind of the no contest with Chris Jericho. So Kane has really become one of our biggest stars to this point in the entire company as our Intercontinental Champion, which I actually I like that, because based on our plans for Kane moving forward, that's not a bad place to be there. Of course, our WWF champion is Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's still a little bit ahead of Kane in terms of this. So Austin takes a jump up a bit. He's into that 92 range now. Of course he is, although he lost some popularity in Puerto Rico. I'm not sure what they have against Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Austin's popularity going up here. So, our biggest star, without question. The Undertaker, again, is kind of on par with Kane here a little bit, and he didn't really make much of a move anywhere. And I think, again, one of the reasons why for that, Taker's in a lot of big segments. He did lose that match to Austin at Judgment Day, and so, just not really a chance to take that big jump the way that Kane has on that. Triple H, pretty much gone down, because why? Well, he, of course, has not been active, but also losing to Kane, I think, clearly knocked Triple H down a little bit in that Intercontinental Championship match. So that's where Triple H is at, but we're not really concerned about Triple H right now, because, of course, we're using the injury to where he is simply not active at the moment. So Kane, the big winner in our May, I think, sweepstakes here when it comes to the popularity ratings. But let's jump into some others here. All right, we're going to have to do some filtering here as well when we go into some of these others, because this is going to take a little bit more of some tricks here to try to keep some of these guys off the screen. But Big Show, you can tell, I think definitely someone else that's taken a big step forward, and he's been a prominent sort of figure in our series. So Big Show up 3 or 4 here in that, so almost to the 80s range now for Big Show, so good for him on that. Jericho, someone else who is kind of in that same range as Big Show, is taking a step forward. So Jericho sitting in a good spot. All right, let's do some more tricks to try to see who we can keep on the screen and keep off the screen. All right, and we do at least able to get Kurt Angle on here, as Angle at 81 now, so he's gone up 1. But yeah, Angle I think will eventually keep going up, as we know, based on his current role. And really, when I think about it, those are probably the big ones of this group. All right, I'll also show you Eric Bischoff. I was able to filter with him too, which is pretty easy. You just have to put the ages in of the people you want to see, and that's the best way to filter it. You can see Bischoff's up to 81 here. So Bischoff, a pretty big winner, as we know, too, in this past month, based on all the stories that he was in. And again, you can probably guess there's some pretty big stuff coming with Bischoff in the future, based off of what happened on SmackDown this week. So yeah, that's kind of your bigger type guys. Let me see if I can filter this out for some of the others. All right, and luckily I can filter this one out pretty well here, and this gives us a pretty good group. So yeah, this is a big winner on this one. Booker T, hasn't really been in any matches, but of course made the jump into the save at Judgment Day, so really no changes there for him. Bubba Ray Dudley, I'm going to guess probably about the same. Yep, Bubba stays there. Christian's had a pretty good month, I would say. He's up 3 in terms of qualifying now for the King of the Ring. China, as we talked about, just not really done a lot, but she stays at 70. Eddie, we mentioned Eddie getting knocked for the personal issues and all that, but hasn't really changed his status much. Edge, I'm going to say, is probably taking a jump forward. Yeah, so Edge is up a little bit, just like Christian. Jeff Hardy, we'll see where he's at. So Jeff's actually dropped 1, and I'm trying to think of why that is. I don't know. I don't remember Jeff losing a lot of matches this month, but maybe he lost one somewhere. Or just, some of the segments just were not hot enough on that. Lita, I'm sure, stayed the same. Matt, I'm going to guess, probably jumped up 1. Yeah, so 1 spot in the Great Lakes for him. Paul Heyman, hasn't really done a lot based on the storyline and such, so Heyman goes up 1 there. We haven't really used Shane. I mean, we've used him kind of, it's sort of a background player right now, but you guys know that's probably going to change. So, yeah, same with Stephanie. Really nothing to note there. Yeah, so Trish stays the same. Regal's been an interesting one, but he's lost some matches too, and so Regal's going to take a little bit of a step back here based off of that. But those have really been, I would say, our biggest figures thus far in terms of who we've used the most. So probably not a lot more to go into other than that, as those have kind of been our prominent featured stars, I guess you could say. Rikishi's the only other one, but I can't imagine Rikishi's has changed all that much, perhaps, there. So there you go, guys. As I said, this one will be a little bit shorter and not as in-depth as I usually make these as we go through the save, but it's just because we're only 1 month in, and we're kind of playing this a little bit more of a slow burn than we usually do, where sometimes we just get right into it with some of our saves, but you guys know I'm doing that for a reason, because as I said, when we started this one, this isn't something to me we're going to play this out over 6 months. Like, the whole planning process is we're going to do this for years. In terms of like just the actual in-game storylines. To me, there are multiple years worth of things you can get into and play this thing out. So it's, I know, just now sort of taking off, but we have 2 shows per week, and I'm not going to have on every single show something that, is going to just forward the invasion necessarily, where you got new guys coming in every single show or anything like that. So a little bit slower of a burn here, but as you saw, business picked up, as JR would say, on SmackDown, and as you're going to see, that's going to really continue now for most of these shows leading up to King of the Ring, and of course beyond after that. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, helps out the channel, and let me know what you thought here and where things stand with the WWF in June 2001. As I've also teased, I definitely, as usual, you guys know I like to rotate saves, and so I probably want to jump into a new C-Verse save with TEW9. I wanted to really bring back the TCW one from 2020. We may do that at some point in the future, but I know you guys are kind of all into TEW9 now, so I'm going to see if I can find a good company to work with, and we may actually do that as a video where I kind of give you my top choices, which there's my top choice right now, I'll be honest with you, is probably one that not a lot of people are going to think of, but there's a reason why, for me, I find it very, very fascinating. And we'll get into that maybe on the next video that we do there. So we'll either do that coming up next, or we'll jump right into, of course, the next version of WWF Raw is War, which the King of the Ring continues and all that fun stuff. So, all right. Appreciate you guys watching as always. Let me know your thoughts. And on the next episode of our WWF Invasion 2001 save. It will be Raw is War for June 4th, 2001.